And thanks for inviting us in on this Thursday night. It's now 11 o'clock, and we want to begin this evening with the moments right before the shooting death of a man on the Near East Side of Indianapolis. Carl Stevenson IV was shot Tuesday near Sherman Drive and English Avenue. A woman was arrested on a preliminary charge of murder. Our Logan Gay talked to Stevenson's mom tonight. So, Logan, why did she want to talk this evening?
Well, Scott, according to Carl's mother, Latasha, her son and the woman were in a relationship that she says turned toxic. She believes her son was a victim of domestic violence and wants to raise awareness and share that love should never hurt. Latasha Stevenson says doorbell video shows what happened moments before her son Carl was shot on a front porch. But she says that's hardly the start of the story.
Carl was my kid that you would never thought would anything quiet, like never would have been the one to have a baby, never would have been the first to pass.
She says everything changed when he entered a relationship 4 years ago with a woman now arrested for his death. She says he turned into something she didn't recognize and pulled away from his family. She saw how the relationship wore him down emotionally.
We can't save our kids if they don't let us, but we can try.
But she says the things she heard about his relationship were disturbing.
They both probably had some mental things going on, and they were each other's comfort zone, even though it was toxic.
According to court documents, the couple argued the morning of the murder and the fight turned physical. They say Carl left, but later returned to pick up some items. The woman told officers Carl banged on her door and allegedly had a gun. They say she claimed she tried to take the gun from him when it went off. Court documents say she then ran to a neighbor's house and asked them to call 911, telling them Carl had attacked her and she shot him. But court documents say surveillance video tells a different story. It shows the woman opening the door and shooting Carl while he bent over a bag. Investigators say there was no fight in the video and no gun in Carl's hand.
In that moment, for you to pick that gun up and shoot my son when he was not a threat to you, I just won't get it.
Latasha says what hurts the most is that the red flags were there, but her son refused to see them.
Men don't normally talk about domestic violence, and it should be talked about more often because it happens every day.
So Latasha says she later found out that the police had made several runs to her son's home over the years. And I reached out to IMPD about the case, but haven't heard back yet. When we do, we will update this story.
All right, Logan, thanks so much. When tragedy hits law enforcement, it is immediately all hands on deck. Not just the officers who investigate line of duty deaths, but those who step up to support grieving loved ones and colleagues.
We got the phone call about 8 o'clock in the morning to respond, and we were wheels up in 2 hours from Indy, and we got up here a little bit after 11 o'clock.
That is what we're seeing in Delaware County. 31-year-old Corporal Blake Reynolds with the Sheriff's Office was hit and killed when a semi-truck crashed into his patrol car yesterday on I-69. Corporal Reynolds had stopped to help a stranded driver. Countless officers responded to the scene, and now we're seeing officers from around our state respond in a different way. The Indy FOP showed up with their new Active Response Kit, or ARC. This is a mobile unit helping with everything from food to sleeping space. Support for the first responders who support you and I every day, even in the toughest of times.
They're back to work today. They still have to get out there. They have a job to do, and they all know that. They raised their hand to swear an oath, and they're back out there serving and protecting the community.
Funeral arrangements for Corporal Reynolds are still being worked out tonight. In the meantime, Indiana State Police would not provide us an update on the crash investigation. We're told the driver of the semi, who police think caused the accident, is still in the hospital tonight in critical condition. Tomorrow, jury deliberations begin in the murder trial of a Missouri man charged with killing an Indiana State trooper. The Hendricks County jury just heard from an ISP crash reconstructionist. He reviewed video data from the stolen car and evidence recovered at the crash scene back in June of 2023. Investigators say Eddie Jones hit and killed Trooper Aaron Smith during a chase. Trooper Smith was on the road trying to deploy stop sticks to end that pursuit. The crash investigation report says the accelerator was pushed to the floor 2 seconds before the impact, and then Jones hit the brakes. Now, the defense team argues Jones did that to avoid hitting Trooper Smith, but the reconstructionist told the jury there was no evidence of a countersteer to avoid the trooper. Now, we talked to the former state police superintendent today who attended the trial.
Aaron was pretty darn special to me, and he was one of those guys that he had so much to offer, and he really rose above during the period of time that I had him.
If the jury finds Jones guilty, the prosecutor is asking for a life sentence without parole. Tonight, Indianapolis faith leaders are now urging our state's attorney general to drop a lawsuit targeting IPS. They tell 13 News this puts kids at risk. Attorney General Todd Rokita says the school district is breaking the law by restricting how employees can work with immigration and customs enforcement. This lawsuit points to an incident back in January claiming that IPS employees would not release a child to a father in ICE custody. Instead, the lawsuit says they put the child in touch with an immigration attorney. Faith leaders say ICE should not be allowed at schools.
It is a threat to the trust between schools and the families they were built to serve.
A previous statement from the district says they take all legal obligations seriously, but called the lawsuit political posturing. At last check, IPS has not filed a response to this lawsuit. We reached out to the Attorney General's office today, but so far have not heard back. Angela, how are our temperatures out there?
Scott, relatively mild for mid-November. Most of us are still in the 40s. In fact, 48 in Indianapolis, 43 Columbus, Kokomo 44, and Muncie right now 47. Close to 40 early tomorrow morning, so definitely grab the jacket. You won't need it all day. We're going to climb from 40 at 7 a.m. to near 60 at noon. High temperatures tomorrow afternoon, low to mid 60s. Warmest of the next 7 days, Saturday in the low 70s.
Here's a look at the other stories making headlines right now. Tonight, prosecutors are dropping a murder charge in a case linked to a house party near IU. 23-year-old Tyreek Bridgewaters died in a shooting there in 2023. The suspect, Isaiah Ramos, signed a plea deal that includes a 20-year sentence for voluntary manslaughter. Ramos will be officially sentenced in January. Tonight, a Florida man is charged with dealing cocaine after police say they discovered 66 pounds of the drug in his car. The 25-year-old was pulled over by detectives in Fort Wayne. A canine alerted officers to the cocaine. Police say the drugs are worth $600,000 to $800,000 on the street. Tonight, excavation at the Henry Street Bridge construction site is now finished. Part of this project sits on a 200-year-old cemetery. Archaeologists just finished recovering nearly 2,000 grave shafts. Now researchers are working to analyze the remains and artifacts before reburying them. When it's all finished, the Henry Street Bridge project will connect Indy's west side to downtown Indy. INDOT just announced plans to reopen the Hannah Avenue Bridge next week. The closure was part of the I-65 safety and efficiency project. Crews have been making drainage improvements, adding new signage, reconstructing ramps, and working on new inside lanes of I-65. The bridge is expected to open by Monday night. Remember, you can find all of our latest local stories anytime on our 13 News app. A proposal to bring open container drinking to Irvington tonight is getting pushback from some neighbors. Some people support the idea, but others tell us it is the wrong fit. Our Alex Almanza is in Irvington tonight with both sides.
The historic Irvington neighborhood could soon become one of Indy's first DORA districts. On one hand, businesses say it's an opportunity for growth. On the other hand, neighbors say it's just asking for trouble. The proposal would create a designated outdoor refreshment area, or DORA, letting adults carry drinks between participating businesses inside a marked boundary. Supporters say it could boost local shops during big events, but many Irvington residents say they didn't know about the plan until recently and feel it's being pushed through too quickly.
There's been no inquiry about how the residents feel about this. Very little notice.
Others worry a year-round drinking district doesn't belong so close to schools, libraries, and single-family homes.
My initial gut thought was probably a bad idea. This is a really mostly a a community, you know, of retail housing. It's the commercial space is relatively small compared to the neighborhood.
Some say they're not against alcohol at festivals, but year-round open container drinking creates different challenges.
If it was only for festivals, I think it'd be much easier to control. You know, we already kind of have like extra, like when the Halloween Fest comes, there's extra provisions here.
Councilor Andy Nielsen, who introduced the ordinance, pushed back on the criticism. In a statement to 13 News, he said he's been working closely with neighbors, business owners, law enforcement, and East Side leaders, calling for a, quote, healthy dialogue guided by facts, not anything that misrepresents the community. Neighbors are now organizing and plan to take their concerns directly to the city.
We have to show up and say what we really think and how we really feel about it. And we know that beyond a certain point, there will be nothing we can do.
Neighbors say they plan to attend the November 25th Rules and Public Policy Committee meeting. That's where councilors will debate on the proposal, and if recommended, it could be voted on as early as December. In Irvington, Alex Almanza, 13 News.